Russia declares Malta a hostile nation. Bulgarian food courier fighting for his life. Robert Abela pledges easier banking for Maltese businesses. All this and more on Lovin Daily. Good evening and welcome to another edition of Lovin Daily. I'm Tim Diacono, joined by Lisa, Darmanin and Demajo. And Russia has included Malta on quite a long list of countries that it considers to be hostile. The news emerged today while after Russia was drafting a decree establishing temporary procedures for Russian citizens and businesses when it comes to fulfilling financial obligations to certain foreign creditors. What this move means is that Russians in debt to credit institutions in the West and in other countries deemed hostile will be able to repay the debt in rubles at the daily exchange set by the Russian central bank. This is significant because the ruble has plummeted to historic lows as a result of the invasion of Ukraine and the subsequent sanctions that the West, including Malta, imposed upon it. The list includes all EU member states, so it's not really surprising that Malta's name was included. It includes the UK, the US, Canada, Australia, South Korea, New Zealand, interestingly Taiwan as well, whatever that means. And yeah, though it's kind of a retaliation to the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia, so not exactly surprising to see this happen.
No, Tim, not surprising at all. Unfortunately, this is all the effects of war and of invasion, and unfortunately, I think this is just the beginning of more things that we are yet to see. Moving on to more bad news, a 38-year-old Bulgarian food courier was involved in an accident in Zeytun last night and is in danger of dying. His Honda 600 Hornet motorcycle collided with a Mitsubishi L200, which was being driven by a 63-year-old man who was not injured, and neither was the female passenger in his car. However, the motorcyclist was given first aid on site and then rushed to Malta with his condition confirmed to be serious. Unfortunately, this is the second serious accident we've seen in as many weeks. A couple of weeks ago, there was a fatal accident along the Marsa Road, so we wish him well and hope that he recovers quickly.
Yeah, and another sad news, a 20-year-old footballer from Rabat Ajax, Robert Atsopardi, passed away after 3 days after he was involved in another traffic accident, this time in Bahria. He was fighting for his life for the past 3 days, but unfortunately he succumbed to his injuries. Moving on, the Labour Party has unveiled a series of pledges to the business community ahead of the general election. One of the main proposals of which is that every business, every legitimate business, and every legitimate self-employed person has a right to open a basic bank account. This was unveiled by Robert Abela today, saying, it's okay, it's in conformity to the rules imposed by the EU with regards financial supervision, and this is a problem that's been present in Malta for quite a long time. It's not the result of grey listing, but I'm sure it was amplified by the fact that that a business will set up shop in Malta, but will find it impossible to open a bank account with a local bank, which then leads to huge problems when it comes to basic issues like paying salaries. And it's long been sort of a stumbling block for investment. So you have the government saying, I'm going to look at this niche, for example, medical cannabis or blockchain, and they prepare all the laws, the companies show interest, they come, but then the banks don't refuse to play ball, and at the end of the day, if that happens, if the ecosystem isn't in place, it counts for nothing. Robert is making it quite clear that this is it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable for there to be so much bureaucracy, and that banks can safeguard their interests while also promoting investment or safeguarding investments as well. It doesn't have to go to one extreme to the other. Other proposals include subsidization of energy audits for all SMEs and financial grants for companies seeking to expand their operations. That means that the government will subsidize 30% of a fixed capital investment that a company makes, or 40% if the company is based in Gozo, which is quite substantial.
I think this is a great initiative, Tim. I know through obviously working at sales, I've met a lot of companies who operate in Malta, and they have had extreme problems opening bank accounts, severe due diligence, almost impossible. A lot of the feedback I received was that it's actually impossible to open a bank account here, and it is a massive stumbling block when you want to operate. If you don't have the financial backing for transactions, then it's impossible. So this is a great addition, and I'm happy to hear it. Bernard Grech, in the PN's documentary Her Gene, relives the moment when he heard that his cousin, Karen Grech, was killed with a letter bomb. He was only 6 years old at the time. It was in 1977, and he has a very vivid memory of his father picking up the telephone while he was sitting on the steps and saying what, and sitting down, and he was reliving this experience. He was tearing up as he was saying it, and his brother was describing seeing the body in the morgue, and that the legs were coming out from under the sheet, and he had this visualization which he can still see so very clearly today. He obviously felt the loss of his cousin. He carried her Santa around with him to all his exams until he graduated from university, and he felt that she was with him all the way. He also said that the death of Karen obviously had a huge impact on her family, especially her father, who stopped attending family gatherings as he felt it was very hard to watch the other children grow up while he had lost his little girl. But in 1994, when Grech got engaged, he waited for him outside Parliament and invited him to the engagement. He hesitated at first, but then he went, and Grech was very happy. Bernard Grech was very happy that he managed to reunite his family with this occasion. Unfortunately, Karen Grech's murder is still a mystery, and it's very unlikely that we will get answers anytime soon.
Yeah, what I want to say is that this documentary Her Gene, I think it's one of the most refreshing things I've seen in Maltese politics for quite a while. Well, if you haven't seen it yet, it's PN candidates one by one speaking about very personal things that happened in their lives, with the aim being for people to understand what makes them tick.
Yes.
What drives them as individuals. At the end of the day, there is a driving force if you want to decide to put yourself up for election, and I think it's a great way of seeing them as not just as human beings, but as very interesting human beings with interesting life stories as well.
Yes, and some of the stories some are quite funny, some are obviously sad, unfortunately, but it's a really great mix, and I really agree with you there. It's a wonderful insight into our politicians that perhaps we're not used to seeing.
Finally, Malta's oldest person, Maria Farrugia, has turned the astonishing age of 110. So the supercentenarian was born in 7th March 1912, which means she has seen a lot. She has lived through through both world wars, through the Spanish flu and the COVID-19 pandemic, the Cold War, everything in between. So it's literally the 20th century, practically all of it, and all of the 21st. In fact, she even lost one of her brothers to one of the first German bombings on Malta, so just to put things into perspective as well. She says there's no secret to her success for old age. If you were wondering if you would like to live that long, unfortunately she doesn't have any tricks for you. However, she said that her family is very important to her. She always says the rosary before going to sleep, and that when it comes to food, she likes nothing more than simple food like vegetable soup and a slice of bread with oil and olives. So
that's the classic Mediterranean diet for you, Tim. That's what will keep you. That's what will keep you healthy. Can you also imagine 110 years, all the technological sort of innovations that she's seen throughout her life, and you know, the car, the phone, the plane. I mean, it's amazing to have lived through all of that. How exciting, how lucky.
Absolutely, and that brings us to the end of today's episode. Make sure to follow lovinmalta.com and have an evening full of loving.